everyone. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome, and we do apologize for the slight delay. We have some technical issues, as mentioned, with our panelists joining in. And thankfully, we have the majority. Welcome, Maali, Moneera, Salman, pending Omar to join us shortly. So we'll get started, just due to time. To start off, today's session is going to be titled Awareness to Action, and it'll be covering basically a bit of knowledge that's been shared over the last few months between me and our panelists. So myself, Zainab Al-Ma'raj, I'm a faculty member at Kuwait University, teaching information systems or information sciences. I have a background in computer engineering and computer science, and I received I built a bit more experience, let's say, with digital accessibility over the last 8 years, and I've sort of found this path to be very fulfilling in terms of it satisfying a lot of my initiatives on the grassroots human rights side, as well as the technical side. And I can share some of that maybe later. As a plan for today, I'll be going over a little bit about the Accessibility Initiative, Accessibility Kuwait, then some about GDG Kuwait. I'll give an overview about what the course was that we all shared, and acknowledgements, and then start off with our panel discussions with our 4 panelists. To start off with Accessibility Kuwait, let's say, and what Accessibility Kuwait is basically an awareness platform that has a goal for enhancing and advancing knowledge in Arabic-speaking region, where we do have a lot more to go in terms of understanding what inclusive design is and what digital accessibility is. And it's a community that's meant to share and elaborate on those concepts. Google Developer Group is more of a platform where we hope to bring together tech enthusiasts, designers, developers, everybody who really wishes to share their knowledge and probably benefit from a platform in terms of visibility in their field, in their domain. We like to share experiences in various technologies. These are not limited to Google technologies, whether it be cloud or Android or iOS or Amazon, Microsoft. These are places where we hope to bring together different concepts in which we can build best practices in what we're doing. The next thing I wanted to say was to mention the course. So let me just share that with you. Okay, so this whole idea of talking about accessibility came to be when I was given the opportunity to offer a special topics course at Kuwait University for the Masters of Computing Information Systems, in which 4 of our panelists are a member of. And the course is meant to cover those 3 different concepts. The first one being digital accessibility, the second being usability, and the third being ethical decision-making and technology development. These are very critical concepts, very, let's say, maybe not highly covered concepts when we really go to practice. And what I hoped with this course was to focus on them and discuss why where the flaws were or the gaps were in terms of knowledge gain as software developers and software designers and anybody working in those fields, from hands-on to even supervision management. probably did not get enough training or knowledge of this concept or these concepts in practice when they're doing the education, let's say, or certifications. So to overcome that, we're trying, a few of us over the across the GCC, to embed a lot of what we're learning or what we need to learn through grassroots initiatives like this one, and in certain places in curricula. So this course did that, basically. We covered concepts in inclusive design and covered what digital barriers existed for people with disabilities. We talked about standards like the WCAG, as well as assistive technologies. We covered user-centered design process, prototyping, and things related to interface design. The development came later. When we came to the ethics part, we talked about inclusive design research and the IRB process, how to get support in understanding how to actually do testing effectively and properly. We talked about the differences of usability and user experience principles and the methods to test. And then we also went into accessible documents, which was something critical and important. Not many of us developers or designers consider what we put online or test them before we get them into practice, whether it be a PDF file or a Word file. This course was supported by a number of guest speakers, and I'd like to thank Dr. Mohammed Hijab from Qatar, Mr. Ahmed Al-Bahar, and also Ms. Romana Al-Qadiri, who all did multiple contributions to us, and we'll discuss what they shared with us, some of us as a panelist, shortly. So this is just a glimpse of the learning outcomes from that course, and should you have any questions, we can talk about them a little bit later. So without further ado, I hope we have Omar. Is Omar not in yet? No. Okay, so we will get started with intros. Yeah.
I contacted Mr. Omar. He's saying he's having difficulties, so he might come in a little bit later.
So if you can call him and maybe put him on loudspeaker, Salman, because I don't have his number.
Of course. Okay, I will call him just in 1 minute, and I will tell him the situation.
All right, so let me stop sharing that screen and go back to our original. Okay, so let's get to intros. So I'm going to go take our time till Omar joins us. And I'm going to start with those in the room. Maali Moneera, if you want to get started, tell us a little bit about yourself, your background, and what made you choose to take the special talks course topic.
Assalamu alaikum. I'm Maali AlFahad. I am working on State Audit Bureau of Kuwait as a senior developer. I joined this course to gain information and discover what is accessibility, because previously I don't have any information about accessibility, and through this course, I gain so much information. I do everything practically. So it was like very informative course.
Thank you, Maali. And your background is?
Web development.
All right, perfect. Thanks a lot for joining.
Thank you.
Moneera?
Okay. Hello, everybody. My name is Moneera Alhemdan. I work in Kuwait University in e-learning center with the academic system department. And actually, I graduated from Information Science as a bachelor, and now I'm continuing for the master degree in the same department. And actually, I took the special topic course. Actually, at first, we don't know what is the topic, but then after taking it, I was interested after exploring more about accessibility.
Excellent. Thank you, Moneera, for sharing that. Next, we'll go with Salman.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Hi, my name is Salman Almutairi, and I am studying the master course here. My background is application development, and currently I am working in Kuwait Sport Authority. And I was interested in accessibility because I am usually interested in many fields and trying to increase my knowledge as much as I can in the field of information technology. And I thought that accessibility, I didn't really know a lot of it, so I decided to be more involved with the help of Professor Zainab, of course. And it was a very pleasurable and informing experience.
Alhamdulillah. Thank you, Salman. And we have Omar. Welcome, Omar.
Sorry for delay. I was having issues with my connection. My name is Omar AlSabti. I hold a bachelor degree, a master degree in computer science. Now I'm a graduate student in life science, in Master of Science in Computing Information System. My background is a cybersecurity. I have a lot of specialized certificates in cybersecurity, and I really had fun finishing the accessibility course with Dr. Zainab. Thank you.
Hayakum Allah. Thank you very much. All right. Well, that concludes our overview of our panelists. I will go into the questions moving forward. So we have divided some questions between us all, but they're not limited to anyone in particular. If you care to add to them, anybody could just let us know, and then you can add and maybe enhance people's understanding if we fall short in any way. Also, for our audience here, you're welcome to ask questions and things in the chat, and we'll get to them as and when as appropriate. Okay, so I'm super proud to have you guys all here, honestly, and to have gone through that experience with you as a first for me, and inshallah not the last. So I asked you just before to let us know why you took the course and what assumptions, or why you took the course first of all, but I want to know a little bit more for everybody here to understand on what assumptions you had when you knew what the content was about. So when you first started, what did you think about accessibility, inclusive design, just for terminology's sake? And I believe we have Maali or Omar here to add. You can take time. Who wants to go first?
Okay, Doctor, I will go first. Before the course, I thought accessibility was mostly about color contrast or adding alternative text, simple technical things. I didn't realize how deep accessibility really is. I assumed it was something optional. يعني nobody يعني it's option to have it or no. Maybe only importance for government websites or big companies. But throughout the course, I learned that accessibility is essential and crucial in every digital project. It is not just about compliance, it is about making sure no one is excluded and that technology works for everyone regardless of ability.
That's great. That's great. Thank you for that comprehensive answer. It came out genuinely, I guess. And that's really good. Ali? I think you're having some video issues, but don't worry about it. Yep, maybe we lost her. Moneera, do you care to add?
I
Yes.
would like to add, if you would give me, if you
Go
allow me to, Professor.
تفضل
So,
سلمان.
thank you, shukran. So before taking the accessibility course, as my brother Omar said, I mostly thought that accessibility meant to only people with visual impairments. I didn't know that accessibility was a field that was so inclusive, that also included motor skills and stuff like age and temporary impairments even. So after I was introduced to this vast field of how we can reach our content with the most people, while also trying to manage the challenge of trying to keep as much content or context as it is for other people. I thought the challenge was very, how should I say this, intriguing, and it's very it's very fun to think of ways of how we can reach as much people while keeping as much content. I know I kind of drifted off. I'm sorry. I'm just very passionate about accessibility.
It's lovely to hear from you and your perspective. Thanks, Salman. Okay, well, I think that pushed us a little bit into our next question, which was a little bit about people or users with disabilities. And like we mentioned over the course of that course, the range of disabilities really varies, and they can be very complicated, and they can be very hidden or not noticed as well. So how do you believe your understanding of those disabilities evolved over that period of time? Whether it's their tech usage or what they use to access technologies like the web. And you can mention things that are related to how you learned or where you understood more from, like our invited speakers. Who'd care to join? And I believe we lost a couple of people. Okay, so that puts you on a spot. Moneera?
Actually, Maali is here, but she's as an I think. Okay, no, she's
Yeah, I'm changing them as I notice. I'm trying. We can't hear you, Maali.
Yes, I join now. Okay.
So,
Yes.
yeah. Were you going to answer our question?
Yes,
Yeah.
about my previous about the question that my previous knowledge before the course.
Go ahead if that's what you want to share. We've moved on, so try and include a bit more about the disabilities as well.
Okay, but my previous knowledge about before the course was limited to people who only have like hearing disabilities and blind people. I never thought that people with cognitive impairment and motor accessibility, that they can use the websites. So I thought only like using screen readers and the captions. This is the only thing that related to accessibility. But when I come to know that accessibility is like wider for everybody, and it's including the design, including the the inclusive design practice, which make the website itself be usable and accessible and flexible to use with all people.
Yeah, excellent. And how did your exposure to those disabilities change with the knowledge that you got from, let's say, those who came in and shared their experiences, like Dr. Mohammed or Ahmed or Romana, for example?
By the guests and the speakers through the course, I come to know why more details and more information regarding other people, how they can use the accessibility and assistive tools, because I thought before like assistive tools only limited to screen reader, but when then I come to know that there is many other assistive tools that should be supported for everybody, simply making the like simple rule like making the website is accessible through the like keyboard, color contrast. Like there is some simple rules we have to apply to make our application or systems accessible for everybody, either they have accessibility issue or regular users.
Great, great. Thank you. Thank you for
You're
that.
welcome.
So anybody care to add a little bit more on the diverse needs that they saw over the course of them learning the different disabilities and how to go about catering for them in software development and design? Yeah, go ahead, Salman.
I believe that answering the question of how the guest speakers and how our understanding of accessibility evolved through this course is, of course, it's always very helpful and very enriching experience to be taught by people who have stayed in any field for many years, to especially newcomers like us. And it's an enriching experience to be taught by Dr. Zainab and the honorable guests that we had, for example, Ahmed Al-Bahar, and many other doctors that helped us to truly understand what are the specific challenges and technical difficulties, and how can we surpass them, and how can we even build up to their understanding to reach a more inclusive and improved experience. So I think that they offered a very great help, and I am really appreciative of Professor Zainab's efforts to include these guest speakers, experienced guest speakers, in our course.
Yeah, I think whether it be in academia, thank you for that. And I think whether it's academia or otherwise, bringing in people of expertise and those who are actually got different perspectives. A lot of the times we don't think about the value they bring perspective-wise. I'm trying to mention, like, for example, Dr. Mohammed came in as a researcher, and he elaborated on methodologies and things that worked with understanding how to approach things like people with autism, for example, and tools for people with autism. And then we had Ahmed, who came in and discussed more about what he was facing in terms of lack of knowledge within the society. And then you had Romana, who came in, who was more of the researcher turned practical expert in the field, who offered more on hands-on insight of the technical side. So I do believe that they all build up this big picture that we're trying to discuss here in the panel, and really give people a visual look on what that is. And I really agree that, as you shared, this is actually a really, really positive approach. Omar, did you have your hands up for this question, or shall we move to the next one?
There's something. I think it is similar to my colleagues. The course actually helped me understand that people with disabilities are not one group. Their needs are incredibly diverse. Some use screen readers, others rely on keyboard navigation, while some struggle with the cognitive load or visual clutter. One of the most important parts of the course was the live screen reader demo by Ahmed Al-Bahar, actually. Watching him use the screen reader showed me how critical proper HTML structure, labels, and semantic markup are. If those things are missing, people literally can't access the content. We also learned from Dr. Muhammad Hijab, who helped us see how cognitive accessibility can be just important, and Romana Qadiri, who shared a real community example. Together, their session gave me more human, complete picture of what inclusive design really means. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you, Omar, for elaborating on that and going more in depth on what they offered. Salman?
Professor, I think we have some questions in the Q&A that,
Really?
yeah, Muhammad Bahij asked, and Iqbal. Their questions are: what are some of the most common and easiest things that one can do to have an inclusive and accessible application? And Brother Muhammad said, what accessibility tools or techniques do you use most often? I think a simple answer and a very easy tool that anyone can use is Lighthouse in Google Chrome. Lighthouse is a tool that can scan the web site and make sure that the required fonts and even some of the accessibility and some of the performance issues of the website. I think it gives you a very inclusive report on how can you fix it, and it's totally free. Any developer can access this by pressing F12 and checking the programming section of any website, and then through the tabs going right to Lighthouse. This and another tool called Axe are one of the easiest and most helpful tools for being aware of accessibility issues in your website. And thank you.
Thank you for answering the questions, Salman. I hope that answers your questions, Iqbal and Muhammad. And yes, we jumped into the core of the course, one of the core elements of the course, which was the WCAG guidelines, the Web Content Accessibility Guidelines. And these tools are built on trying to discover and help developers locate problems related to digital accessibility within their websites. And we have practiced them as tools and applied them and reported findings on them. So we want to go a little bit more into those with you guys here. How do you find that these tools to be in terms of adoption when you come into your own work? So have you seen that maybe after you've been exposed to them, how easy is it? Do they come across, or do you think about them in terms of process throughout your software development lifecycle in your workplace for any tools or testing that you do?
Yes.
Maali?
Yes, in my workplace, after the course, I've started using the web aim for color contrast. Before we was like choosing the colors of the websites and the fonts and the backgrounds randomly based on what we see. But now we started using this site to evaluate what we choose, and later we change and we adjust the colors based on the recommendation and the ratio. This information I wouldn't get before if I didn't get this course. So and I introduced this principle and this way of testing for my colleagues at work, and we start working on this. So this is affect our products and our websites that we create in our section at my work.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Anybody care to add from their perspective in their workplace?
Yes, actually, my workplace, I majorly work on model learning system. I started to testing model system with like the WCAG principles and for the screen readers, and I found out that it's already accessible with WCAG 2.1 double A, not triple A. Yeah, because mainly like it's not all fall under us, because even the instructors are responsible for the content of their classes to be also accessible. So, but in the system way, Moodle is already accessible. But even like checking the color contrast with the add-ons that I actually use, which is Accessibility Insight for Web, which is the inside job. I use that a lot.
Great, thank you. Yeah, Accessibility Insights is another tool, the that is used to discover or locate these problems. And we did miss one question and answers from Talal. And I have to apologize, we didn't see that, Dalal. But digital accessibility, we really didn't define it to the audience. And maybe this is a little bit too late, but the idea of digital accessibility is designing software or developing software like websites, applications, and any digital content systems so that people with disabilities can access them effectively. So it's keeping them in mind while you're doing the design and development, and testing iteratively from the beginning till the end, and bringing them in to take part while you're doing it as well. So we'll get to that in a minute with a few more questions when we get to usability. Right. Okay, so the next question that comes up was there a moment during the course that shifted your perspective or caused you as a professional in your domain to change in any way? Anyone care to share?
Yes, actually, when you invited Mr. Ahmed Al-Bahar, actually at that time, my understanding for the accessibility was like only with how to make the website accessible, but I didn't see it as the perspective of the users themselves. So when Mr. Ahmed Al-Bahar came, we saw everything within his perspective. Actually, at that time was really, really shifted my mind into realizing how important is the accessibility. And after that, I need to even think about accessibility within all aspects. As a worker in Moodle now, with multiple students, of all the students in Kuwait University using it, we need to take that into consider, even with developing the documents, the manuals from it.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, thinking of the perspective is why developing the invited speakers or adding them inside this course was done that way. And I believe me as a professional myself didn't know, or the same as you, change perspective with time, with seeing people. So Ahmed, for everybody here, is was born blind. He's extremely clever and intelligent guy when it comes to technology and web development. He's a developer himself, so he knows how to locate all of the digital accessibility issues and how to bypass them himself through these systems to navigate for himself, and is an advocate for that space. So I do cherish his time and that he shared with these students, and hopefully moving forward, because he does a lot of advocacy. Salman, please join.
Yes, I think to answer your question, Professor Zainab, my views shifted suddenly when I actually was, studying. I was sitting in a cafe and I was studying your course, and while reading the slides and reviewing the material and checking with CAG, something just clicked in my mind, and I realized how vastly my knowledge has changed in accessibility from it was before this course. As I mentioned before, I thought that accessibility only was to include people with visual impairments, and not the wide variety and the aspects of people, especially people with cognitive impairment, people with motor impairment. And it just kind of not shocked me, but it kind of it was like just a little surprise, as I can say, that accessibility is now I know way more than I knew before, and I can actually use this thing in my workplace to help people that are using our facilities and services in Kuwait Sport Authority. So it was tangible. I can help people. That also helped me clearly see the image of change, how inclusivity can help people. And I don't want to long be have my answer longer than it should. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, I think we've been going back and forth together here, talking about, yeah, we're aware, we understand, we're getting more like excited about trying to, because we heard the perspective. And I think that shortcoming of not really hearing their perspective is just because of the dynamics of how we live, our societies, a lot of um, a lot of exclusion happened from a very early stage. Decisions made within each city, each country are different, and ours made us unexposed to things like that. And then when it comes to domains where you learn these things, whether it's through computing degrees and things like that, very few places across the world include digital accessibility and usability within the curriculum. There's actually a handful that have courses in the domain. GCC has, we have one university, Hamad bin Khalifa, they introduced it in an undergrad. The terminology is like assistive technology, and that is done in undergrad, that's it. And I think I'm trying my best to push things for Kuwait University so that we have these things already established with time, inshallah. It will take time, but we can do it. Did anyone have any other perspectives to add there before I answer another question in our Q&A? I have Talal need to understand what you mean by how can we discipline copyrights and data confidentiality. So we're talking about a different topic here in terms of the access, digital access. If you mean with data confidentiality, do we know who is disabled, who is not disabled? If that's what you mean, then no, you don't have to know who's disabled or who has a disability when they access your technologies. If you are building it with principles of inclusion, then you will build for everybody and then allow for mechanisms like if you have an issue doing something or you can't finish, then please report it and we will help you fix it, type of thing. That dialogue between the user and the developer or the organization with the technology is what we advocate for, so that so nobody's excluded with doing their own things. I hope that answered your question. Okay, moving on to our last question. Question before last. We have two more. What challenges do you anticipate when it comes to applying digital accessibility and usability within your own companies or even projects? Because in Kuwait, we do a lot of third-party projects with third parties. And have you thought about how you can overcome them? Anybody care to share?
Yeah, I will go with that.
Yes,
I will answer it as a developer. One of the main challenges I anticipate is changing the mindset within the teams and organization. Accessibility is often seen as a nice to have rather than core part of development. Some people assume it only benefits a small group. Benefits a small group, or that it will that it's too time consuming, too important, especially when dealing with deadlines are tight. To overcome with this, I plan to take a practical gradual approach. I will start by integrating simple accessibility checks into my own workflow, like using semantic HTML, testing keyboard navigation, and using tools. Then I will share this finding with my team and demonstrate how small changes can lead to big improvement in usability for all users, not just people with disabilities. I also believe in leading by an example, building accessible components, raising awareness through quick demos, and making accessibility part of design discussion from the start. By focusing on education, demonstration, and collaboration, I hope to build culture when accessibility becomes everyone's responsibility. That's it.
That's excellent. Thank you, Omar, for being so passionate about it. And I guess, yes, it is building culture. So good luck with that. Salman?
Yes, there are, of course, many challenges in implementing any new aspect of information technology into any kind of government entity. But one of the most challenges I saw is not being aware of what accessibility actually entails and making up excuses. For example, me being part of Kuwait Sport Authority Information Technology Department, we contract with a lot of companies. A lot of companies don't want to actually do the work, don't want to put in the actual time. They just want to cut corners and just finish the client to move on to the next and get the agreed upon money, basically. So we have to enforce these things, and it's really difficult to enforce it when a company with its priorities all over. I'm of course talking about the companies we are contracting with. So I think a way to avoid this issue is to have, rather than a suggestion to implement accessibility, to be one of the core fundamentals or checks in our system to be accessibility inclusive. For example, will it be operated by people with visual impairment? Is the font comfortable? Is the zooming function doesn't remove any kind of context? Is it WCAG? Is it applying with the WCAG standards, and so on? Thank you.
Excellent. Yeah, I do share that sentiment, and I understand that from that point of view, it gets complicated, right? So we do have to be wise on how to move forward in terms of slowly building the best practices, and then maybe at some point trying to establish policies and things within the organization or the sector, so that these are taken into consideration when we do contracts, especially. So we have a question in Q&A from Bashar. Are you forced by your employer to do accessibility checks and implementations, or is it up to you? Okay, we'll go Salman. You get to answer.
I'm sorry, I know I've talked too much, but it's just because I've just talked about this situation, and I just want to clear it up. The thing is, it's not forced, it's the complete opposite. My employer has no idea how inclusive accessibility is, and my employer is a man with great depths in the field of information technology. Yet, even if you have a lot of years studying information technology, you might, as we can see, not even realize how deep the accessibility field can go. So it was the opposite. I'm the one who suggested it to my employer and my team. Thank you.
Thank you, Salman. Moneera?
Yes, actually, in my previous, actually from my previous workplace, actually they don't have the concept of accessibility. They don't know anything about accessibility. As a developer, a web developer there, they only care about do this project, finish this project. They don't even, how can I say it? Just deliver it. Just simple aspects, just deliver it. If it's work, then that's good, that's it. They don't want to even know about accessibility or going deep into accessibility. But actually, when I talk about that, here they realize something. Okay, the systems are, the systems need to have accessibility. But they didn't talk about that again, so I stopped actually because there is no like, they didn't encourage us, the developer, to go deep. Instead of that, they gave us another project, another project, another project.
Yeah.
But right now, in my new workplace, I started like small. Okay, I tested the Moodle website. Okay, it's accessible. Then I tested the documents. So I'm going like that, small steps.
Beautiful, beautiful. Well, best of luck with that. So I think with tools like Moodle, which are international tools built in countries like the West, whether Europe or the US, they're obliged to have tools that are academic in nature, and they're bound by laws. to provide accessible technologies.
Mhm.
There's standards in those regions where you can't just build something and not test and show for it. They're going to have flaws, they're going to have problems, and then people like you who's testing them on the other end can highlight them, and then they will fix them, because if they don't, then they're prosecuted and there's penalties and stuff like that, right? Whereas in our region, it's not there. And I think by previous investigation I had in one of my researches, well, I sort of mentioned it in one of my researches because it was something I discovered when I surveyed a lot of our developers and third parties. These third parties were building accessible technologies that were delivered to Europe and the US, for example, and Australia. But because when they build them for us in the region, they don't add it. And that's because we don't ask for it. They believe they can get away with not testing for accessibility or doing any type of involvement with people with disabilities or looking at any ranges of that. And I think that is a big shame on us to allow them to get away with that, especially with the amount of money that we pay into building tech for our countries. So yeah, I thought that was relevant to add here. Thank you, Moneera. That was great. And we have to also give grace to the system. Like in your previous job, yes, they can acknowledge that it's hard, it doesn't satisfy and it needs help, but then sometimes we just don't know how to start it, right? And it takes somebody like you to say, okay, well, this is what we need to test. And slowly that builds up. And I hope and wish all the best to you all. All right, we have Maali.
Yes, at the beginning, like introducing accessibility for my in my work, it was a little bit difficult because I need to show them and convince them that what's the need of accessibility, what's the need of implementing accessible website. At the beginning, it's normal that the people are resisting to change and they find it's difficult and time consuming to implement this one. But I started to introduce for them that there is a add-ons, there is a website that can test accessibility for you, that can give you suggestion how to improve it, how to add it, and it is and also because of like limited time and limited resources, so they thought that it is like only time consuming and won't benefit like large more people. It's also only for limited and specific people with disabilities. But through sharing knowledge, through show them examples, this one it's like they start thinking about to add it, to implement it. But once you get the people believe that what's the need of this creating accessible website and systems, then later you will we can do it, and we can include it in the processes, in the work, in the policies and the procedures that we are following. So it will be like by testing the website functionalities and performance, we should include testing of the accessibility as well.
Yes, totally. That is very, very relevant, and it makes a big change. And I believe we mentioned this also in the course when it came to local policies and laws. And given that Kuwait has not pushed a law or policy in terms of ensuring that all of our technologies is accessible, that effectively would be a top-down approach. And I can give an example of Canada, who end of last year had officially started the penalty for any organization, even from NGOs who developed a website or application that was not accessible, could be sued, and they had to pay a penalty if anybody reported that they were not. And they did this over stages. So it took them about 5 to 6 years from they first introduced the policy, and then slowly gave chances first to the major corporations, then at state level, then smaller, till that happened. And until we get that, or we push that agenda, we'll end up having to stick with champions like you guys, who will talk about them in the workplaces and hope that the message gets there. But we do have a role outside of, like on the outside, on the political scene, on the other spaces, to also push that agenda as well. Because you're speaking for other people that aren't speaking for themselves right now. You're aware of a domain that they need it, and we don't have effective strategies for it. Okay. Anything else anyone want to add before we conclude with our last question? All good? Okay, so our last one is, what's one small change you believe all developers and designers in the region should make today to improve inclusion in technology, even if it's not required by policy or law?
I will go with that, Doctor.
Go ahead, Omar.
If I had to choose only one small but powerful change, it would be start designing and testing with keyboard first. Keyboard accessibility is often overlooked, but it is fundamental. Many users, including people with visual impairments, motor disabilities, and even temporary injury, rely on keyboard navigation. If a website can't be fully used by them, it doesn't have any sense. To change this change doesn't require advanced tools or deep technical knowledge. Just intention. Start every project by testing forms, menus, and interactive element without a mouse. It is simple, immediate, and reveals a lot. For our region, where accessibility standard still development, they didn't think about it. Small habit like this can shift the culture. It sends a message inclusive matters even when it is not enforced by law, and it is a step any developer or designer can take today. Thank you.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you, Omar. I think that was very comprehensive and to the point, so thank you. Anyone else care to share?
Okay, I'll go next.
Moneera?
Actually, yes. Just like simple, just start small. Don't go big at once, because small changes over the time, you will get to the goal. So even like the smallest change, such as adding alternative form, that's a simple change that will help a lot actually.
Yep.
So just start small and just add to it, and you'll get there. That's it. This is what I actually want to say.
Well, we have to pinpoint that Moneera just finished their master's thesis and defended their thesis in technologies that help people learn sign language. So full advocate from all spaces, Moneera. Thank you. Salman, you wanted to go next?
Yes, if I can give one advice to any developer who's interested in implementing and starting accessibility, I think my simple answer would be use Axe tool. It's a very informative tool, and you don't have to act on it. You can take it slowly. Just be aware of what your website is missing. Axe tool is very great, especially because it pinpoints exactly which WCAG guideline most of the time it pinpoints that your website fails to accommodate. So I think it's very and it's free. You can just use it right now. It's a very great tool. I advise anyone to use it.
Yes. Thank you very much. So DQ is a great place. DQ is the company that created Axe. They also have Oxford Technologies that focus on developers, some focus on designers and different platforms. I've tested them, used them, and worked with people at DQ. So I highly recommend that you look into them. Their technologies are also making use of AI in automated recognition of accessibility testing. And I believe they are one of the better tools in recognizing accessibility issues without having a person in the loop. Definitely this doesn't work for all the WCAG criteria, but they are pushing beyond 70% recognition, let's say. So we have Maali.
Yes, one small change I can do, like in every meeting or in every team meeting, I should like explain like small thing in the accessibility. In each meeting, I show them what's the benefit of using like writing using semantic elements, or what's the benefit of using correct heading and descriptive links, even providing alt text and for pictures and descriptive very descriptive and informative alt text for picture, how it will affect the assistive tool working. And I can show them. People sometimes when they see the effect practically, they start like working on it. So by introducing small information every meeting, every time we start testing a system, these small steps will enhance and will give people more information and more awareness about what's the benefit and what's the need of accessibility.
Exactly. Practice makes perfect, and to identify them as one very effective tool for learning. Thank you,
Yes.
Maali, and wishing you all the best.
Thank you.
All right, so we don't have any Q&As or anything like that. So with that, I would like to wrap up. And first of all, applaud all of you, Maali, Moneera, Salman, Omar, for your time, your effort, your passion, your expertise, things that you've brought to the table, things that you're going back with within your communities, and your openness to share and enhance and share that knowledge with them, which is a key to doing any change. And I deeply believe in that. And I'm honored to have spent that time with you, and inshallah see you sometime in the near future again. Right? And with that, we close today. We've recorded the session, so we'll add it to our platforms soon, inshallah, and share it with the community. You're welcome to ask any questions if anybody here has any question. Before we close, I'm going to stop the recording.